Go back to the pictures, Scarlett, right, because we hear that in Wimereux and northern France, the migrants that we've seen rushing the shore there have now made it onto a vessel.
God, that was quick.
From a rough estimate, that looks like, 30 people at least on board there, maybe more, maybe 40, 50. And this is what happened just a moment ago. If you're tuning in, we saw 4 officials in uniform making their way to try to intercept that boat, accompanied by a vehicle. They've clearly failed in trying to stop that. And these people are literally taking their lives into their own hands in trying to make that crossing across the channel. The context, of course, yesterday, 12 people drowned.
Look, there they are. They're still getting on.
Yeah.
And they're getting on without life jackets.
Yes, so there's a number of them in life jackets. I'd say the majority there do have life jackets, but it's these people at the last minute who are jumping in.
Which just shows the latest news about those deaths and whatever doesn't have any effect whatsoever. But you look at the French authorities, that before that boat gets out of, paddling type water, why hasn't someone stuck a fork or a gun or something into the side of that and deflated that?
To sink it.
Yeah, there needs to be
proactive
boats on the shoreline. The thing is, it's miles and miles and miles of coast that they have to police.
But they're on the beach. They're on the beach, the French authorities. They're running towards it. You're thinking, why doesn't someone take out their pistol and just blast a hole in the side of it? Sink the blooming thing there and then. There's no, it's impossible. They look at it there because it's impossible because no one has any real willpower to do anything about it.
Well, apparently it costs between £7,000 and £12,000 per migrant to get onto one of these vessels, very highly organised by these criminal gangs. The Labour Party have scrapped the Rwanda deterrent. They believe that wasn't the solution to this crisis. They think that targeting the criminal gangs is the way forward, and they've created a special task force to try and deal with that. Hasn't yet got a commander at the helm of that task force, and to be frank, as we can see from these pictures, time is of the essence. 25
Charlie
deaths
Peters,
already
our man,
this year.
Who was covering this for us this morning. What are you making of what you're seeing here, Charlie?
Well, these are extraordinary pictures. This is the 3rd boat that's actually launched from northern France this morning. One, as we revealed in the last hour, has actually already made it into UK waters, has been guided into and escorted to Dover by Typhoon, one of the border force vessels. That's got about 12 to 16 people on board, according to our producer on the ground in Kent. Another boat approaching UK waters now, and then this 3rd boat we've seen launched, a small boat from northern France. Quite extraordinary shots of people rushing towards the boat. Many people already on it with life jackets, but people rushing on after it's already been pushed off to sea. And as we were warning earlier, this is the process and the procedure that has caused so much concern for people involved in trying to reduce this crisis and preventing loss of life, because increasingly we are seeing these small boats having more and more people on them. Some of them up to 70 people, well above their capacity. Many of them rushing on, having not paid the smuggling fee. There have been instances in recent years of people fighting and even stabbings on the coast as they seek to get onto these boats. Now, the French authorities say they stop between 60 and 70% of launchings, but we've also heard from GB News sources that there are some 3,000 people massed just off the coast this morning, preparing to make that crossing. Now, that's unusual because the normal move is to have people more inland who then make their way forwards towards the coast when they're ready to launch. That's a process organised by the people smuggling gangs, part of a billion-dollar industry. But what we're seeing now is people getting bolder, not deterred by those appalling fatalities yesterday in that sinking just off the north of France. People still pushing forward to make that journey. Conditions have been rough, but one boat already making it into UK waters this morning, another on its way, and that live shot we've just seen of people already making their way into the 3rd major launch this morning. And just by judging from those pictures, that does look like another capacity-filled boat with more people rushing on to join it after it's launched. Again, a very concerning process and could make for an extremely busy day for both French and UK border force authorities.
Charlie, are you able to sort of guess or even tell us what that vehicle, that boat vessel alongside the migrant boat there is trying to do? Is it trying to stop it and turn it back to shore, or will it now, do you think, be escorting it?
Well, the process has often been to, once they're launched, to escort towards the UK waters, and then the British authorities take it from there. But I think there will be additional concern from the French authorities after the tragedy yesterday. I mean, you saw the French Interior Minister visiting the area quite soon after the tragedy occurred yesterday. They could try to intercept, but the strategy, the main tactics and procedures for the French authorities is to intercept before the launch. Once a boat is in the water, having a sort of maritime operation where you're rescuing people who are at sea, that's especially difficult, that's especially dangerous. The last thing they want to do is rupture the security of the boat and have more people in the water. Many people who aren't used to any sort of water, who can't swim, many people wearing life jackets, it appears, in this boat. But we've seen many instances of people rushing on without adequate equipment to make the crossing. Now, these boats are specially made. They are made to order by the people smuggling gangs. Many of them made in China and brought across through Turkey into Europe. And so they're capable of handling this journey if they are used to capacity. But again, what we've seen in this extraordinary footage captured by cameras on the northern coast of France is people rushing towards the boat after it's been launched. It does appear that that French authority vessel is moving a little bit closer. We assume it's from the French authorities, but it doesn't appear to be intercepting it. It is still making its way from the coast. It does look quite heavily laden, doesn't it, in terms of being at capacity. Some people on the edge of the boat, some of them not wearing the safety equipment that others had when they launched off the coast. And I think the French authorities will be especially conscious of the focus on them now after yesterday's tragedy. There's very strong comments coming from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, yesterday about how they need to work closer with the French. That's often been the mission of Sir Keir Starmer's government. That's what they've said they're going to set out to do as part of their strategy, that it will require closer cooperation with the French to, in their words, smash the gangs. But with the Rwanda scheme having been scrapped, many analysts and commentators have said that the deterrence of that route has now been reduced. And as we've seen, Eamon and Isabel, even the potential deterrent effect of mass casualties from sinkings doesn't appear to reduce the keenness that people have to launch these crossings and attempt to make their way across. Another French naval vessel there on the right, that's a border force vessel there, kind of a corvette making its way across. But that small boat still moving away from the coast towards Britain.
OK, Charlie Peters, our national reporter, speaking over the pictures, coming to us live from northern France this morning. Thanks very much indeed for that. Let's cross to Olivia Utley, shall we, our reporter, our political correspondent in Westminster, for a sort of political take on all of this. And these pictures will make some difficult viewing, won't they, for government?
Well, absolutely incredibly difficult viewing. And in the fullness of time, I expect we'll see quite a lot of pressure on Keir Starmer about this too. Over the course of the election, Keir Starmer seemed to be pretty keen to avoid questions about illegal migration. On the face of it, the Conservative plan for solving illegal migration, the Rwanda scheme, although it absolutely did not work, it was first mooted in 2022 by Boris Johnson. By June 2024, no plane had yet taken off to Rwanda. But on the face of it, it did seem like a simple solution to the small boats crisis. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer has talked about having armies of pen pushers, essentially, to try and speed up the process of getting claims through the Home Office. That's one of the weapons in his arsenal, if you like, to try and stop the small boats. But plenty of people in the Labour Party say, is more civil servants really going to fix this? Keir Starmer also talks about smashing the gangs, but of course that is easier said than done. The Conservatives too wanted to smash the gangs, but these aren't gangs like you might see on crime drama on television. There isn't sort of one big boss who can be taken out. These are nimble, fast-moving gangs, and when one is closed down, another one will set up just a few miles down the channel. So Keir Starmer has a really, really tricky problem on its hands, and as we saw from the last immigration figures just a few weeks ago, there is no sign that this small boats crisis is abating anytime soon. So what is Keir Starmer going to do about it? Today, that question feels more urgent than perhaps ever before.
Indeed, Olivia, thank you very much indeed. And lots of you at home reacting to those pictures as they come into us from the coast of northern France there.
And a lot of you are not very happy about this. John is saying, instruct the Navy to prevent these boats entering UK waters. Ignore whatever the lawyers have to say. Donna says, Navy in the Channel are pushing back. An immediate return to France would be a deterrent. So would being detained, no benefits, no hotel, and again, return to France or country of language. And that's pretty typical of the reaction that you have. There is, not that I can see, any sympathy at all for people who find themselves in inflatables like that.